Welcome to the lunchtime news here on TV1 for the News First team, where the people come first. I'm Senita Senanayak. Before we take a look at the stories in detail, let's take a look at the headlines. Basil abandons his overseas trip. Protest at the Bandaranaike International Airport. Officers at Silk Route Terminal steps away from operations. Clash at Temple Trees. 10 admitted to hospital. Mother-son duo arrested with stock of heroin. Indian urea fertilizer suitable for Sri Lankan farms. In your top story for this afternoon, former Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa, who arrived at the Katunayake airport to fly overseas, had to abandon his trip abroad due to strong opposition from the passengers and officials.
On Monday night, former Minister Basil Rajapaksa had arrived at the Silk Route lounge at the Katunayake airport to travel overseas. A spokesperson from the BIS said that passengers strongly opposed to the presence of former minister. It was also reported that Basil Rajapaksa was once again heckled by passengers when he attempted to obtain services from the counter for normal passengers. Basil Rajapaksa had to leave the premises following the strong objections from passengers. An airport spokesperson said that Basil Rajapaksa was scheduled to travel to Dubai. President of the Sri Lanka Immigration and Immigration Officers Association, KAS Kanugala, said that since corrupt politicians are trying to pay money to use the airport's Silk Road or priority line to leave the country, their officers are temporarily stepping away from their duties there. Sri Lanka Nidahas Sevaka Sangame said it stepped away from operations at the Silk Road terminal at the BIA with effect from noon today.
Now, the President's house, office and Temple Trees are currently occupied by Sri Lankans demanding immediate change. Early this morning, ugly scenes took place at Temple Trees as a brawl sent 10 people to hospital. Over at the President's house, however, hundreds continue to march to the premises to witness what was inside Sri Lanka's most protected residence.
Hundreds of Sri Lankans continue to be attracted to Colombo to witness the President's house that was occupied following mass protests on Saturday. The President's house was overrun by people who were demanding President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and the government to resign with immediate effect.
The Occupy Goldface Gota Gogama protest is on the 95th day. A group of artists convened a press conference today at the Gota Gogama Art Gallery.
It is true that certain misuse of property was caused when the properties were taken over by the people. We see this as a reflection of what is happening in the country. We believe that this will change. This is a part of this struggle as well. The Prime Minister's house being set on fire is a controversial incident. Though it's done as a result of the pressurized people, or if it was done as a part of a script, we do not approve it. Setting fire to the art and books of the residents is as bad as setting our art gallery and its art on fire. It's inhumane.
විශේෂයෙන් එම නිවසේ තිබුණ චිත්‍ර සහ පොත්පත්වලට ගිනි තැබීම අපගේ චිත්‍ර සහ චිත්‍රාගාරයට ගිනි තැබීම වගේම අකාරුණික සහ අමනෝඥ ක්‍රියාවක්.
A decisive meeting between the independent parliamentarians, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is currently being held at the opposition leader's office. Decisions at the coming parliamentary sessions and the all-party government will be discussed at the meeting. Rauf Hakim, Manu Ganeshan, Duminda Disanayaka, Dayasiri Jayasekara, Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, Tissa Vitarana and many other parliamentarians are present at the meeting. In more political news, Samagi Jana Balawege parliamentarian Nalin Bandara said that opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has the legal right to accept the post of president. Speaking to reporters today, Nalin Bandara said that stability can be brought to the country following the formation of an all-party government. He said Sajith Premadasa has the legal right to take up the post of president given that he contested the presidential election against Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He also said that information has come to light that Defence Secretary Kamal Gunaratne has ordered to shoot the protesting Sri Lankans. However, the military had refused to comply with the order, citing that their own families are protesting against the president and the government. In more local news, Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira made these remarks on the party leaders' meeting.
There was a party leaders meeting yesterday. It would have been better if we stayed back rather than going for the meeting. After listening to some of the speeches of those leaders, you intend to think if they are really leaders and can take up the country. They are saying something else inside and something completely different outside. It is a very devastating situation. Who is the president? Who is the prime minister are the main concerns right now. So a team outside says something completely different to the team speaking inside. I am very independent in this matter and closely observing what is happening. I'm telling to resolve this issue constitutionally. There is nothing about the constitution. If not, we have to come up with a new constitution. We have to pick someone from 225 members. Now some are saying that all 225 of them are useless. If these 225 quit, then another 225 from the same list gets appointed. There's no way an outsider gets in. If that happens, then they have to come through the national list. Now if I resign, there are a bunch of others to come in. Therefore, this has to be decided constitutionally with the help of the 225 members.
Meanwhile, parliamentarian Partali Champika Ranawaka says that the Prime Minister should not engage in political games and immediately make way for an all-party government.
We hope that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns tomorrow as he has promised without playing any political games to stay in power. There are few ideas that have been shared among the parties about the next president. One group's opinion is that the next government should stabilize the country in the coming few months and go for an election afterwards. This idea was brought in by a team which, by going for an election, is not in the favor of the president and the prime minister. Sajith Premadasa has given his view on this, and even though Dallas Alahaperuma has not mentioned anything to the public, he too is keen on this. On 20th, there will be a secret ballot. The only way to calm the people is by Rajapaksa addressing the public, especially Mahinda Rajapaksa, and then resign from politics. And the next biggest challenge will be to establish an all-party government methodically and solve these issues. Prime Minister must also resign by giving opportunity to the new interim government. The Prime Minister can resign anytime he wants. It is constitutional. If the majority of the parliament doesn't like him, he has to resign. There is no need to make it more complicated by having more discussions and talks. Some of those deal makers should understand that there is a people's struggle.
That was parliamentarian Partali Champika Ranawaka. He said that the Prime Minister should not engage in political games and immediately make way for an all-party government. Meanwhile, Chief Executive of the Samagi Jana Balawege, Attorney at Law Ajit P. Pereira, says that the Prime Minister, who was appointed without the people's mandate, must also resign along with the President.
The Prime Minister's stance during party leaders' meeting held yesterday was that he will not resign from the post of the Premier. Without the mandate of the people, he has no legal right to hold the office even after the resignation of the President. The President appointed a person with one seat in Parliament to protect his family. Gotabaya Rajapaksa has decided to resign due to dissent from the people. The Prime Minister must resign along with the President. It is a shame that his house was burnt down. That is wrong, but that is not a reason for him to stay in office. Today he is asking for sympathy to remain as Prime Minister.
Meanwhile, Venerable Dr. Omalpe Soditatero, the Chief Sanganayaka of the Dakshina Lanka of the Ramanya sect, told reporters that it is important to appoint a president to strengthen the administration. Speaking during a press conference organized by the People's Assembly, the Venerable Thero said that if an agreement cannot be reached on appointing a president, the people are ready to nominate suitable candidates. He said that party leaders and parliamentarians are responsible to allow the nominees to enter parliament by removing 5 nationalist MPs already in parliament. The Venerable Thero said the names of the nominees will not be revealed until the appropriate time. Taking a look at the situation with regards to fuel in the country, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara says that a diesel shipment is expected to arrive in the country. A crude oil shipment will also reach the country within 4 days. However, a definite announcement regarding petrol has not been made yet. Even though the IOC increased the capacity of fuel distribution from yesterday, fuel queues can still be seen across the country.
A demonstration was held blocking the Colombo-Chilao main road from the Kakapalli filling station this morning. The demonstration was held as petrol unloaded at the filling station on the 7th of July was not distributed among the people. The road near the filling station in Magallagol is blocked due to several queues at the location. People in queue allege that they were wasting their time as a proper mechanism is not implemented to distribute fuel. Operations at the Kurunagala Teaching Hospital have been completely disrupted owing to the fuel shortage. Society of Medical Specialists say that only in-house patients will be given treatment from today. A heated situation arose after fuel at the IOC filling station in Valimada as it ran out of fuel yesterday morning. The situation was brought to control after the Valimada Police OIC arrived at the location. The OIC promised that those who did not receive fuel will be given fuel the next day. A tense situation was reported at the IOC filling station in Varakapula yesterday after it ran out of fuel. People allege that 2 people identifying themselves as employees of the filling station charged 20 rupees from each customer to issue tokens.
Long-distance bus services as well as short-distance bus services are still disrupted due to the fuel crisis. As usual, people were seen travelling in public passenger transport services, clinging on to dear life.
In many areas, people were seen waiting on the side of the road, waiting for a bus. A large number of passengers are also travelling in the train. Meanwhile, Mattegoda Private Bus Association's president T.K. Disanaika said that the bus workers of Route 138 Mattegoda Peta have started a strike to protest against the shortage of fuel. President of the All Ceylon Private Bus Owners Association, Anjana Priyanjit, said that a situation has arisen where short and long distance bus services cannot be maintained as usual. Chairman of Lanka Private Bus Owners Association, Gamnu Vijayratna, said that the bus service has been increased by 10% today. Sri Lanka Transport Board Deputy General Manager Panduka Swarnahansa said that all the buses owned by the SLTB have been put into operation today. 80,000 litro gas cylinders will be delivered to the Colombo district today, while 35,000 gas cylinders were distributed to Colombo yesterday. The distribution of cooking gas cylinders for all other areas will commence on Wednesday the 13th. 2 more LP gas shipments are scheduled to reach the country this week. A ship carrying about 3,700 metric tons of gas arrived last night and it was unloaded and moved to the Muthurajawala Litro gas terminal. Even today, queues for gas were seen all over the island. The Fertilizer Secretariat assures that tests have confirmed
that urea fertilizer imported from India is suitable for Sri Lanka's paddy cultivation and other crops. The National Fertilizer Secretariat had examined the samples and obtained the report regarding the percentage of biurate contained in them. Accordingly, the report states that the biurate percentage of the urea fertilizer is 0.9%. Previously, 3 international lab reports were obtained regarding this fertilizer, and those reports also stated that the percentage of biurate is 0.65%. Generally, the biurate percentage of urea used in Sri Lanka is 1%. Accordingly, arrangements have been made to distribute this fertilizer to agricultural service centres across the island by Ceylon Commercial Fertilizer Company for crops including rice and maize. In more local news, Sri Lanka police seized heroin worth 550 million rupees from the possession of a mother and son in Ambalipitiya. Sri Lanka police said that 38 kilograms of heroin worth 550 million rupees was found hidden inside the rented house in Ambalipitiya. A 46-year-old woman and her 22-year-old son were arrested, and according to the police spokesperson, further investigations are underway. Another phase of the Divisavya program to distribute dry rations among families in need was held in the Gampaha district today. The program is sponsored by LOLC Holdings. The second phase of the Divisavya program is continuing for the 5th day today. Several teams distributed dry rations among people in many areas including Kalaniya, Biyagama and Mahara in the Gampaha district. The Divisavya program aims at supporting low-income families amidst the economic crisis. In some interesting international news, the first full-color picture from the new James Webb Space Telescope has been released. The image is said to be the deepest, most detailed infrared view of the universe to date, containing the light from galaxies that has taken many billions of years to reach us. US President Joe Biden was shown the image during a White House briefing. Further, debut pictures from James Webb are due to be released by NASA in a global presentation today. US President Joe Biden said, quote, "These images are going to remind the world that America can do big things and remind the American people, especially our children, that there is nothing beyond our capacity," end quote. He also said, quote, "We can see possibilities no one has ever seen before. We can go places no one has ever gone before," end quote. Sri Lanka sprang a huge surprise in Galle in the second test match against Australia yesterday as they beat the top-ranked test team in the world by an innings and 39 runs in what was a crushing defeat for Pat Cummins and his team.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ News First YouTube channel අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග. ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ. News First YouTube channel එක අදම subscribe කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග. ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන්.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For more details on these stories, you can log on to our website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First team, where the people come first, I've been Sanita Senanayake. Take care and stay safe.